Yep, I'm ready.
All right. So, peace and greetings, family. We are here for a little girl chat. I want to do something different, and I wanted to offer you an opportunity to listen to the podcast from just a different lens. And that lens is a lot more personal. It's a lot more relevant to my life, it's a lot more relevant to my path and my walk. And in usual keeping with podcast energy or podcast flow, I always have my guests on to just come and share their point of view, share from their heart, and share their personal experiences. So, as you know, this is our series on Africa. There's no series out here like this that's really going to give you an insider's view of a country, an insider's view of an experience. Um, there's just so much to gain from this particular series, and I'm excited that you have joined me for it. So, today we have my sister, my friend, our beloved Queen Shay, who is on the line. Peace and greetings, and welcome, sis.
Hey, sis. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's an honor. It's always good to link up, to chat, and to chew with you. And if
Hmm.
you all don't know Queen Shay, she is actually a narrator on my audiobook. So if you have downloaded the audiobook, Goddess Awakening, she is a narrator on that book. And we're so happy to have her today. Um, First of all, Queen, just tell us a little bit about who you are and really what you do.
Okay. Thanks so much for the opportunity to just be able to talk to folks, to love on folks out loud and on purpose. You know, that's how we do it here. Um, I live in Dakar, Senegal, Dakar region, Senegal. I've been here for about 4 years. And what I do is I run retreats, I facilitate healing events and solo experiences with women, of course, women of our community from the United States. Um, I'm actually working with the Garvey Institute for Human Development and furthering the revolution with, us Black folks coming back to Africa. So we are focusing on creating a soft landing for the diaspora to come home. Um, so much of what I do here is centered around creating safety and a pleasurable, enjoyable experience for Black women that are traveling solo when they come to Senegal.
Nice, nice. Wow. What a very interesting um occupation, for lack of a better word. How did you even get into that? Like how did you said you live in Dakar, Senegal. Is your family
Hmm.
originally from Senegal, like your mom and dad, or um,
Yeah.
your husband brought you there? Like what how did you where what happened? What happened
Okay.
4 years ago?
So how that happened, right? Initially, I thought I was just coming on vacation. I wanted to travel to 4 different African countries. Um, I had a friend that we traveled all the time. Good, good girlfriend. We traveled all the time. We had knocked out about 25 different countries, and we were taking about 2 weeks between Christmas and New Year's. And initially, we were planning to go to Europe. I grew up as a military kid, and so part of the trip to Europe was I wanted to go back to Germany, where I'd grown up. I hadn't been there since I was 13, and so um, we were planning our European vacation, and then I decided, we probably should go to Africa before we go to Europe. Europe is always going to be there, but let's go home. That was my sentiment. And so the idea was that we were going to take this 2 week vacation and we were going to travel to 4 different cities. It was going to be Dakar, Senegal, Freetown, Sierra Leone, Accra, Ghana, and Lagos, Nigeria. Well, when we were planning the trip, we found out that you can't just fly at that time. You couldn't fly from one African country to the next African country. You have to go through a European port. So either you would have to go back up to Casablanca and then down to, let's say we were going to Sierra Leone. We had to connect either through Portugal or we had to go to Casablanca in order to get to the Sierra Leone. And then from there, we would have to either fly to Brussels or go back to Morocco in order to go to Ghana. Like you couldn't just go from one city to the next city to
Wow,
the next city.
it's
Right.
crazy.
So we found out that we would have to, if we did it that way, then we only get 1 to 2 days in each country. So we said, mm-mm, let's just start with Senegal, right? And then if we're still traveling in a couple of years, every year we'll go to a different African country and we'll just spend our time there. Well, we started with Senegal. And initially, I wanted to come to Senegal because I was a fan of Akon's music. And he had this one song called Mama Africa,
Nice.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
the video for Mama Africa was so beautiful and arresting. And I said in my spirit, oh, I want to go to wherever that is. You know, the people were beautiful in the video. There was tropical beaches, like it was so colorful and pretty. And so I wanted to go. And then they erected the Renaissance Monument. I see pictures of that. And initially I thought that it was in Ghana. So it's on my bucket list. I want to see this Renaissance monument. And I found out that it was in Senegal. It wasn't in Ghana. So I put two of those things together. I was like, oh, yeah, we're going there. That's why I want to go. Well, I got to Senegal and it broke my heart wide open. Like, I had so many spiritual experiences while I was here that time. Like, every single day, it took me through every range of my emotions. Like, I was crying, I was laughing, it was heart wrenching, it was inspiring. Like, so much happened within that trip. Um, and what I discovered is it wasn't Akon's music that initially drew me to Senegal. When I was a little girl and I was in Germany, um, I met my first African. It was a man who lived across the hallway from me, and his name was Jama. And Jama grandfathered me. He was an older man. I was sick, and my mom was overwhelmed. She had a house full of kids. She was pregnant, with a military husband. Like it was a lot. And so he grandfathered me, and we would have tea parties, And if you've ever been to Senegal, part of their daily rituals, they have ataya. Ataya is like a tea ceremony where they have this tiny little teapot and these little shot glasses, and they make different rounds of this super sweet tea, the super sweet green tea, and then each round means something different. Like it's a whole ceremony involving it. So when I was younger, we would have ataya. He would make tea. So when I came home from school, that'd be the first thing we did. And we're talking about the day, and he would tell me stories like folk tales and things like that. And he was always so very colorfully dressed and like patchwork. Like it's a signature of this place. So he had these patchwork clothes, and I remember him having black leather jewelry, black leather cuffs around his ankle and around his wrist, and he had a black leather collar, right? And when I was younger, I just knew that he was African. I didn't know where he was from. When I came to Senegal, I saw so many old men that looked just like John, and it took me back 30 years to being a child in Germany all over again. And I realized that not only was Jama Senegalese, he was Baifa, right, which is one of the Muslim brotherhoods here. And his patchwork clothing and his black leather jewelry, which they have the prayer of a sheikh sewn into the leather, the fabric. So it's actually protection, juju. And when I got here and I realized that this is where Jama was from, and I realized that Senegal wasn't just something that was new to me. It had been seated in my spirit since I was six. It had always been calling me. So I came here and I, had my experiences. I went through my entire vacation. It was amazing. And when I got back home, it wouldn't leave me alone. I thought of it every single day. I dreamed of Senegal every single night. I had a spiritual experience in the House of Slaves in which I found myself walking into pockets of ice cold air, and I found myself being pulled on, just in spirit. Like it felt physical in my skin. Like I was being pulled on. I was being dragged from one place to the next. And um, the month after I left Senegal, I just kept reminding that. Like I just kept having body memories of that. And so it probably took about 3 weeks before I realized that I was actually being called back. And I didn't know why. It was it was the year I was turning 40, so that was a pivot. It was also the year that I was going through a divorce. I had been with my husband for 20 years. So I was in a really big kind of like pivot, like those moments we have where what happens next? Where are we going? Like, what will be our legacy? Like, we're changing our lives, we're changing our name. What does that mean? And for me, that was Senegal. And so once I said yes to spirit, it everything fell into alignment. And within a year, I was moving.
Nice. Nice. That's a really beautiful story and so much rich history, so much um, childhood background and memories and just all kinds of good things wrapped up in that. It's um it's amazing how the things that impress on us early on in life just have their way of coming along with messages and
Hmm.
coming along with gifts, really, because it's a message and a gift. It's that way for me when it comes to just West African women overall. Like all of my hairdressers when I was very small were West African women, and my mom befriended one, and her name was Fatu. And
Hmm.
I would put money on it now that Fatu was either uh, Gambian or Ghanaian because those two
Hmm.
countries love me like I am the daughter of of the president. So it's just beautiful how we can trace our clues back, and I mean it's always the breadcrumb story, so thank you for that share. Now talk to me a
Hmm.
little bit about this whole concept of safety. You mentioned that you lead retreats, but you do so to ensure safety for women who are solo tripping. Now, I may be a different kind of traveler, but when I solo trip, I don't really go to retreats. Like I just kind of go where I want to go and do what I want to do. Um, I solo tripped through Mexico, went to about lived in about 5 states in Mexico. I solo tripped in Egypt, I solo tripped in Paris. Like, what is, I connect for me the dots between a solo trip and a retreat, and then the whole concept of safety, because I'm missing something.
Okay. So when it comes to traveling here, I've traveled many different places too, and there's a different vibe in Mexico clearly than there is in West Africa. What I didn't understand when coming here initially, because I had been to 25 different countries, I had never been to a predominantly Muslim country or a predominantly patriarchal country as a woman. That makes a difference. When you're used to everything in your world kind of revolving around you and your safety, people look out for you, and on the strength that you're a woman is to be protected. Sometimes when you're in a country where that's not the focus, you feel it. Um, I'll bring your attention to the first day that we met and the experience that we had that evening. I'm not going to go into detail. I just want to bring it to your
Yes, sis.
attention. Okay.
Sis,
So
Okay.
We're breaking up just a little bit, honey.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say you're gargling. Um,
Yeah.
if you I don't remember the experience, but I'm gonna edit this out.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
I don't remember this experience. I'm gonna edit this me talking to you part out. Um,
Okay.
tell me what happened because it's likely something you can talk about on the podcast. Because I want to make
Oh,
sure
okay.
that if they're listening, then they can listen and be included in the conversation.
Okay.
So
Well,
remind me.
when we had gone to the birthday party on the beach that
Hmm.
evening, and we were leaving
Hmm.
the birthday party on the beach, and the man that came up behind us
Oh
and
yes,
was
definitely
playing
tell that.
grandma.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
exactly what we need to know. That's it. That's
Okay.
it right there. Yep. So I'm gonna
All right.
start it again from now. So Shay, what happened on? What do you mean? Tell me more.
Okay. No worries. So I've had multiple experiences in the city. When I first moved here, that um, you're able to see a society by the way that it treats its women. So on the surface, women that are married, okay, women that are married, women that are mothers, women that are someone's auntie and grandmother, they have a certain level of respect that society affords them. However, if you're in a space, especially in West Africa, where there's so much of a socioeconomic difference between women who are here that are vacationing, that are foreign women, that are black women, um, there's a certain perception that the local society has of us. And women coming from the West, we are very independent. We don't need a man. I say that with air quotes. Whereas here, the women need men in order for them to move around society, in order for them to be respected within their own society, they need to be married and they're expected to be married and they're expected to be mothers. It is it brings to mind the Madonna whore complex, you know, like either um you're a wife and mother, which garners you the most respect out of society, or you're a free for all. And unfortunately, what ends up happening with Black women when we come to this place, we're very heavily influenced around the world, influencing around the world through hip hop. So you and your girlfriend can be out and you're having a hot girl summer. You're dressed cute for you for the West, short skirt, you have a tank top, you're, a little revealing, but not video vixen revealing. There is no difference here in the mindset. If you are showing any skin, then you good to go. And if you don't have a man with you, then they don't see a reason why they shouldn't be your man. And unfortunately, once someone has locked eyes on you, they don't really take no for an answer. And we've been taught in the West to give soft no's, to give, oh, well, I'm not really interested, to kind of play it off and be friendly so that you can get out of that situation. Whereas here, they don't get those concepts. So unfortunately, we have had too many cases in which not even being friendly, but being cordial with the wrong man could get taken into a completely out of context. Um, Case in point, I remember a very early experience we had in which it was Dakar Fashion Week, right? And so we have friends that are coming in from different places for Dakar Fashion Week, and we have it was a girlfriend of mine's birthday, December, and so we had gone to this hidden beach, this place that's in Dakar, Mount Taj, and it's a beautiful beach, but you have to hike down to it, and it's beside a mountain, like it's in a cove under a mountain, right? And so we had a beautiful evening. We hiked down to the beach, the sunset. We had like ceremony. We gave libation. We had like um, a beautiful bonfire. There was African dance and drumming and everything. It was an amazing evening. And so the time has come and we have to hike back up the mountain in order for us to get back to the street. And what happened was there were several men that were with us that were in the party. They were friends of ours, they were cousins or whomever of the birthday girl. And then there was one random man who was an older man that just was local, and he saw us having fun and decided he wanted to join in on the party and bring his beers with him, right? And what ended up happening is that as we were leaving, we're filing one by one, and we're um, kind of hiking up this mountain. And myself, my best friend, and our guest was in between us. And this man decided that he wanted to come up and be friendly. And he started with me, trying to touch my hair. He graced my butt with his hands. And I pushed him off of me, and I told him going about his business. Like, okay, stop. Like, go ahead. It's time to go. You know. And he moved on to my friends, and then he moved on to my other friends. So between the three of us, we're constantly pushing him and telling him to leave us alone. There's no men to be found at all. There's men in our party, but at this point, it's about 10 of us. It's about 10 of us, and we're all filing single file. It's dark. It's like 10 o'clock at night. And the friend of mine that's in front, she's the one with the flashlight because we're hiking up a mountain. And so it finally escalated to where now it's a physical altercation with this man, and he ended up getting shoved down because we from the west, so like we're not going to play with you but for so long. I've already told you to leave me alone. You're not listening. You're encroaching on my physical space because you feel like you're entitled to my time, my attention, or me physically without it being an issue. And that is a common idea here. That is very common within society. And women are just used to like running off, or they're used to then having to go and get men. Like they don't fight the men here. Women from the West, we don't play that. We have been raised to defend ourselves, to not to be someone's victim by any stretch of the imagination. That is how we're built. That is how we move. And women here aren't like that. So you'll have a man that is used to taking advantage of a woman. So what ended up happening is we got into this physical altercation with this man, and then all of a sudden, once he hit the ground, here come all the men that was with us. They didn't swoop in to protect us, to finally defend us against this man. They jumped in and covered him with their body, telling us, "This is be people," right? I've had that case happen. So they were finally able to de-escalate the situation, but we were accused of taking it too far because he took it too far. And oh, he's old, and oh, he's drunk. Don't you see? Or oh, he didn't mean anything by it. He was just trying to be friendly, and you didn't understand because you're Western. Was the idea, right? And that's the way that it was packaged to us. I've also had women that come on solo trips, and the services that I provide here, it's not just retreats. Of course, I have annual healing retreats for women, where we focus on loving yourself, getting back to yourself, evoking the law of attraction, actually finding out who you are as an individual. That is what we focus on in the whole retreat, right? I could have a retreat to up to 10 women, and we've done that. But also, if there's women that are interested in coming and they want to have a solo experience, a spiritual experience, I've had women that came in because they were healing the loss of a loved one, and they needed to release that loved one. We've done release ceremonies of ashes into the ocean and waterways and baobab trees and things like that. We've done that. But the same way that we would travel solo to a place like Bahamas or Mexico or anywhere else in the United States, where you speak the same language, you have generally the same culture, or they're aware of your culture and they have fit their tourism around understanding your culture. So you're pretty much safe. People don't understand that when you're coming to Senegal, this is a completely different world. It is a different world. It's a different culture. There are three different languages at least that are spoken, and we're not even getting into the tribal languages that are so much more. We're just talking about in the city centers like Dakar. You're always going to find someone who can speak French. The language of the people is Wolof, and then because they are They're also Muslim. A lot of people, they speak Arabic or a combination of all those things. And sometimes you can find someone who speaks English, but when you are out here, your Google Translate app ain't really gonna get you around because you have a lot of people that may be able to speak French. They can speak colloquial French, but they're not learned. Like they didn't go to school for French. So us trying to type into a Google Translate app in order to ask somebody questions, they're not going to understand that, and they don't read French. That's another thing. Wolof is not written; it's spoken. So a lot of people that speak Wolof and French, they don't read. They can't read or write it. So it's important to have a guide. It's important that when you have someone in his boots on the ground, that you have someone who's coordinating all of your care. I've had people that they figure, oh, okay, I know a little French. I'm just gonna hop in this taxi and go on about my business. And I've had to be called for rescue missions because the taxi man took advantage of them. He knew that, he knows that you don't know where you're going. He knows that you're not familiar with the currency. So when he gets halfway into the neighborhood and he decides he wants to change the price on you because he doesn't want to go any further, and us being, incensed, we turn up on him, and there's cussing and fussing that ensures. Uh, and now she's being snatched up, or she's being punched in the face because a man is not going to stand for you to be yelling at him because he doesn't do that in his own house. He'll backhand his wife, and society accepts that and just looks the other way. You don't understand that when you come here, you can end up in a fight with a grown man. You can never in your life have had to fight a grown man in the United States, but you could be insulted here. You can react to the insult here, and you're going toe to toe, and he's not going to argue with you because he doesn't have the words to argue with you, but he does have a strong back man hand. I've had too many issues where I've had to rescue women from that. I'm getting called. Listen, this is where I'm at. I have to tell them, send me your location. They're somewhere in the neighborhood. I have to get my security guard, and we're running in order to go and get them to pull them out of this taxi. I've had a girl. I got her out of the taxi. I'm pulling her away from the taxi. The taxi has ripped her dress. He's snapped the strap on her dress, so she's holding it to keep her breast being exposed. And we're walking away from the taxi, and he's picked up a brick and threw it at her head. Like there's issues within
Oh no.
society here. Yes,
Yeah.
Ja,
Now,
there's been at least five
at least five. Go ahead.
instances
Mm-hmm.
where we've had to get involved to that level. So to get back to your question of why is it important to have safety, we curate the entire trip for someone, like, so if you're coming here and you want to experience Senegal, I'm going to make sure that you have a good time. I'm making sure that my driver, who has a very modern car with AC and all the windows work and you can get in without having to be let in, is meeting you at the airport. And I'm going to make sure that my driver takes care of you the entire time you're here, all the way to the time that you're dropped off at the airport also. We handle the accommodation. We make sure that you have
Mm-hmm.
food. We'll take you out for your excursions. But we make sure that when a client comes here, like that's my baby for the entirety of her trip because I
Pause,
want to make
pause,
sure that she's
pause,
safe.
pause. You're gargling again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're gargling again. So I want you to wait, do a testing real quick.
That's one too.
Okay, it's still gargling. So I'm gonna let me just do let me do this, and then I'm gonna kick back to you and see if the gargle is gone. Um, wow. Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of other underlying factors, hidden factors that one may not even be aware of,
Mm-hmm.
if they're making that type of trip. And I mean, it makes sense, if I haven't learned anything else by traveling, all throughout the world, what I've learned is that the cultural norms that apply to America are not applicable in other places.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same. It is not the same. And you can easily get effed up in the wrong place at the wrong time, coming over here
Mhm.
with your backpack of Lil Boosie's INDEPENDENT. Do you know what that means? You know, you can find yourself in a situation, sis. You know,
Yes.
so and it means something different. You know, even that word in Africa means something different. An independent woman in Africa, or at least in the places that I feel most at home in West Africa, that independent woman who we look at as fierce and as strong and powerful, she can still be married. The independence
Mhm.
that we have been taught to cherish and uphold and guard is a different, it's a false sets of independence, because what it involves a lot of times is just the struggle. It really just involves the
Mhm.
struggle. It really involves the concept of taking on everything by yourself. And
Mhm.
if I have not been able to apply anything else um, in my life, I apply this concept of independence to being able to choose the things that you need and line those up in your life in a way that makes life easy. That's it. Like, that's
Mhm.
independence for me. Independence ain't about
Right.
how much I made. It's not about buying a Gucci bag or some Louis Vuitton shoes. It is about being able to arrange my life in a way that aligns with who I am. That's independence. Because other if I'm not doing that, I'm a slave. I'm literally a
Mhm.
slave to society, to a system, to the Joneses, to just things that don't really matter. So
Right.
I appreciate that. We appreciate that insight, because I know that there are listeners right now who didn't know that about Senegal. I mean, first of all, if you're listening right now and you don't know where Senegal is on the map, it's fine. Take a deep breath. Um, every single African country has its own swagger, and Senegal is definitely the francophone Paris meets West Africa swagger. And I've said that
Mhm.
before, and I'll say that again. So I don't want what you're hearing right now to throw you off of what um, what may be a a huge opportunity for you to come and explore the arts, because that
Mhm.
is something that Senegal offers in ways that I haven't seen in other places. And so I do want to talk about that, but I just want to make sure we close off this particular portion of the conversation by asking, just flat out, is it unsafe to visit Senegal? Is it unsafe for women to come to Senegal?
No, it's
Okay.
not. It's
Okay.
not unsafe, but you need to understand how you're
Pause.
navigating, and you need to know the culture.
Pause.
Mhm.
You're still gargling.
Oh, honey, I don't know what it is.
Let's do this. Can you jump out and jump back in? Let's take it old school.
Okay.
Oh,
How's
wait.
that?
Yes. Okay, we back. All right. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask the question again. Is it unsafe
Okay.
for women, a Black woman? Because Queen, we know that there are many spaces that Black women are just we're not safe everywhere,
Right.
and we have that perpetual conversation around Black women and safety in many different instances. So, is it unsafe for Black women to visit Senegal?
No, I
Hmm.
do not believe it is unsafe for women to visit Senegal. I believe that you can come here, you can have a beautiful experience, and you can feel catered to 1000%. But there are nuance. There's so many nuances to the culture that you need to understand, and you need to have somebody here. It's not a place that you could just pick up and roll off to if you're not if you're not familiar with any of the different elements of society here. If you've never been in a predominantly Muslim society, you need to educate yourself. If you've never been in a patriarchal Muslim society, you need to educate yourself. The way that women move in this part of the world is not the same way that women move in other parts of the world. Like you had brought up independence. That's not something that they really accept or they know about in the culture. An independent woman in the concept that we have from the West here is a threat to society.
Mm.
She
Wow.
has influence.
Wow.
So the way that we move in the West around our independence and our attitude of not needing a man and we can get it all on our own and things like that. Oh, they don't accept that here. They don't understand it. And
Mm.
they're not trying to.
Mm. Wow. Um, yeah, I think that is going to be a running theme for this particular series, is because there's so much deconstructing of the
Mhm.
feminine masculine interaction that
Mhm.
happens when in Africa. There's just a lot of deconstructing because I mean I would have never thought that we would have had to have a conversation about this, but again, what it means to be feminine in one country is not what it means to be feminine in another country. And that's how you get to really understand that this stuff is created, formed, it's basically brainwashed by societies to their advantage. This means this over here for a woman, that means that over there for a woman. Like, why are these men going around uh, creating, these definitions and you know, perceptions and misnomers and all this about what it means to be? You're not a woman, but why you get to decide? Like, there's just a lot going on. And
Yeah.
but then there's a lot to actually gain as well.
Mhm.
There's a lot to gain because, and this is a conversation that we have to have at a certain point, and I think I might even do this as a panel discussion. But there's a lot to gain in identifying that our our perception of Black masculinity has been very skewered, very, very, very skewered.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, we we don't really, oh, let me speak for myself. I didn't really know what Black masculinity meant until I came to Africa, because
Mhm.
I would say that much of our Black masculine in the West are often trying to fit into some sort of narrative. There is a laid out mold. There's a mold. And then our Black masculines in the West have to pick which mold they want to fit into. I can be a
Mhm.
beta. I can be an alpha. I can be, a Tyrone. You know,
Mhm.
I have to fit into a mold. So let me choose my mold and let me fit in. I can be a pretty boy, right? We have these things. We have
Mhm.
these classifications. And so once they identify that mold, then they have to take on qualities and characteristics that are associated with that mold. And then that's who we get. At the end of the factory line, this is what we have. We have the Tyrone
Mhm.
package. We have the educated Black
Right.
man package with the white woman.
Right.
We have the Hotep package, right? So we just have these
Mhm.
little packages. But when I moved to West Africa, what I found was that the packages that first of all, ain't no package, okay? These not
Mm.
packages, or
Mm-mm.
these not packages. These so this is something different, Mama. I ain't never seen this before, because um, you know, there's just certain things that didn't have. Let me just speak frank. There's certain things that didn't have to be earned, by men, by me doing anything or proving anything. I didn't have to show submission in order for someone to help
Mhm.
me. I didn't have
Right.
to. make myself approved in order for a brother to come and help me pick up my bags and bring them inside. Matter of fact, he take the
Right.
bags from me and bring them inside.
Right.
I didn't have to figure out, well, what do I have to give you in exchange for your respect
Mhm.
or for your, assistance or for your insight. I didn't even have to worry about if I'm having a conversation with you. Does that mean that you want me? Or does
Mhm.
that mean that I need to give you my phone number at the end of the like I there was a lot that I had to unlearn. There was a lot that I had to unlearn when it came to Black masculinity, because one of the things that I now know is that the Black masculinity that I found in West Africa, or that I experienced, it's so raw. It's raw. It's not
Mhm.
coming with a whole bag of mumbo jumbo. It's not coming with,
Mhm.
I don't want to do this because I'm afraid that my homeboy may think it's this, or I don't want to do that because what
Mhm.
if I'm criticized for doing that? It's just, this is what I'm doing. And I'm not
Right.
doing it with it's just, that's what we do. I'm a man. I'm gonna do this. So there's a lot of that energy that exists, and I'm speaking about West Africa because that is where I landed, and that's where I learned, did extensive study on divine masculinity, Black masculinity. And so there was a lot of gold, diamonds, jewels, silver there for me in West Africa, specifically when it comes to Black masculine. So to the sisters who are listening, the message is not, oh, stay away. No, the message is come and find out for yourself. Like the guy says on the little chart, fuck around and find
Mhm.
out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
High level of fuck around. If you take it there, then it's gonna be a high level of finding out. But do so in a way that's safe. Do so in a
Yes.
way that doesn't jeopardize your peace, your
Right.
physical safety, your mental health, your emotional safety. Do so with wisdom. Be smart.
Mhm.
And I know that for you, sister who's listening, smart may mean I can do it myself, but that's actually not smart when it comes to this
No.
land. You see what I'm saying? This land, that's not smart. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Because maybe in the States, it's what you know. Maybe it's your degrees or etc. and et al. But here, okay, in these African streets, it's all about who you know. And Google
Mhm.
is not your friend. You don't know Google. Google don't know you over here. Google can't hook
Mhm.
you up. Google can't have your back like that. Google not gonna tell you where the best place to go on a Dakar Friday night is, because Google don't know.
Mhm.
Google not gonna be able to tell you how to dress in a way that embodies a spiritual sense of homecoming, but that also gives you reverence and gives you respect from everybody who
Mhm.
sees you. Google not gonna be able to guide you on that. So smart just looks different in the motherland. And smart when you are traveling here, it looks like booking a retreat, booking a trip, coming and connecting with someone who cares, who's actually walked the walk that you're walking, who's coming to Africa for the first time, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Shay, at a certain point, you were a first timer 4 years ago. So
Mhm.
that means that you've already walked that path. And that's what we have to encourage at this point, because realistically speaking, every cultural group, every ethnicity, this is how they move. This is how they migrate across the world. I
Mhm.
have an Indian friend who just started her aesthetic business here in East Africa, in Tanzania. And the amount of support that she gets, it's overwhelmingly Indian. She has other people who are coming in to support, but even her transition, she transitioned from Dubai, transitioned to Tanzania. All of that transition was done within the nurturing and within the comforts and the parameters of other Indian people. So, I find that sometimes we are the only ones who who feel like we have to do it on our own. And
Mhm.
much of that has been socialized as well. We may have been abandoned in family situations, abandoned by friends, just abandoned in chapters in life that now make you feel like you have to do it on your own, or, I don't want to deal with anyone, or let me just see for myself. But I am urging you to take heed to the words that Queen Shay has spoken today, because those words are words that come from a place of love, that come from a place of experience, that come from wisdom, and that are here to guide you as you sojourn to Senegal, if that is your chosen destination. So, um, Queen, I want to thank you for just taking the time to drop that nugget. I'm gonna have to have you back on, because I definitely want to talk a lot more just about the cultural aspects of being in Dakar, um,
Mhm.
some of the adventures that you've had with the culture, and some of the relationships that you've made while being there. So we're going to take our time and we're going to work through it. Anything
Okay.
else?
Um, I like the point that you made about like the way that we are the way that we're brought up, with the idea of having to do it ourselves, and the way that divine masculinity shows up here. One of the biggest factors of that is that they have fathers here. So masculinity is modeled for them. They have fathers, they have older cousins, they have uncles, they have granddaddies. You have grown men here that are still very much in tune with their grandfather. They have a day a week they go and they sit and they have tea with their grandfather. So they're constantly being guided by older men along their path of manhood. And something that you brought up about abandonment, like a lot of the problems that we have in the West is for lack of black fatherhood in the home. So women that are raised by single mothers, they're raised with their mothers, and although they struggle, they felt that they didn't need a man because they were able to survive. Whereas here, women in Muslim culture, they're covered. They have a man that speaks to them. They have a man that protects them. They're not going to be out in the street any kind of way, and people know that I can't touch her because that is Muhammad's daughter, or I can't deal with her any kind of way because I know that that is Ba's niece. Like I need to go through the men in her family before I can even talk to her, let alone touch her. Or that's someone's wife. So when we are in a society and we're just free agents, we don't have a man that covers us. We don't have a man that's standing in that place of protection for us. And it's seen and it's perceived as if we are a lamb amongst wolves. So we need to be cognizant of that when we're moving through society and we are dressing a certain way. Because if you're dressed a certain way, they're going to treat you according to the way that you're dressed, the way that they
Mm,
perceive it based on what they've seen through hip hop. You
mm,
understand? So us
mm,
having, although hip hop has gone around the world, hip hop has not done us any favors because they perceive black women through the lens of that. And there's so much masculinity within us that we don't realize because we've had to do it all. We've had to
mhm,
be, you know, we've had to be strong, we've had to be independent, we've had to be all those things to make sure we can take care of ourselves, that we don't know how to be soft.
mhm,
Whereas women here, they were raised in softness. Like that's the only world they know. So we look like strange creatures to them because why are you doing all that? Why are you carrying your own groceries when these
mm,
men are here? You know what I mean? These men know that they're supposed to spring into action and I have a bag, come grab it. You know what I mean? Because as a
mhm,
woman in this society, that's how you serve me. But when women come here, you're like, what are you doing? Why are you in my face? No, I don't need no help. It changes things. Girl, these
mm.
water bottles are 10 liters. These things are heavy. Please get this. I want to put on my truck. Can you help me, please? You know
Right.
what I
Hook
mean?
me up.
Like, yes,
Hook me up.
here's a mango. I appreciate you,
Mhm.
brother. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.
Right. Thank you so much for that. And I think that that's actually going to be a really good springboard for our next conversation around just all things feminine and masculine when it comes to Africa, because there's just so much to unpack and there's so much to unlearn. So, we're in a process, and it is a spiritual process. It is a healing process. It is a journey. Um, I can honestly say that my relationship with the masculine changed 100% for the better after moving and living on the continent, just simply because I was able to experience raw masculine energy and start to understand what I was missing. And it even brought me into some element of being more empathetic to our brothers in the States. It really did. It
Yes.
really, really did. Because, you know, um, being in a country like this, it's one of the reasons why, amidst all of the criticisms, I was like, yeah, I'm bringing my son to Africa, um, because to be raised in a hostile environment,
Mhm.
to be raised in an environment where the messages for you ain't shit, you ain't gonna be shit. Um, your daddy ain't never been shit. You come from a lineage of eight of not shit. Like, to be raised in that type of environment and be walking on a path where those messages are perpetuated.
Right.
Those messages are perpetuated in every institution and every walk of life. That is mental, spiritual
Yes, it
warfare.
is.
That is warfare. And it's not an environment that I am an advocate for, even even with the additional frills and additional circumstances. Oh, well, they can get an education and they can do this and they have opportunity and access. Baby, let me tell you something. Y'all can keep all of that and we'll figure out another
Right.
path, because I cannot allow my son, knowing what I know now, I can allow him to be in a place that is not rooting for him.
Mm-mm.
Imagine him. This is how I see America when it comes to the Black man. I see America as a stadium, and I see a Black man walking into the
As a
stadium and him
gladiator.
hearing nothing but boo.
Yeah.
Right. As a gladiator, you got to fight the battle, but not only are you fighting the battle, but you fighting the battle to an audience of boo.
Mhm.
Everything is a boo. The game is rigged. The referees are not rocking with you. Okay. The every single fight that you have to fight is a fight to the death.
Mhm.
Okay. And the only way that you will be tolerated, because I don't even want to use the word accepted.
Mhm.
The only way that you will be tolerated is if you pick a mold and jump into that mold. Okay, first of all.
Mhm.
So that's where the molds come in again. And then the way that you are praised now, the way that you are given accolades, is if you, as the gladiator, can then turn around and win games and become an athlete, right? Become a living legend
Mhm.
who wins games and now earns money for the white man.
No.
That's it. That's it. That's
Mhm.
where we at. All right. So if you can make
For
us the
their
money,
entertainment.
then yeah, then we'll praise you. But
Mhm.
outside of that, boy, if you don't pick a mold and fall into it and get in line,
Mhm.
and that's it. Okay. So I see what I see now only because of what I've learned through the lens of observing raw masculinity, what it means to be masculine, like without a without a narrative, without a narrative about this is what it means to be a Black man. No, because in Africa everybody's Black man, so ain't no
Right.
Black man narrative, ain't no Tyrone narrative. Okay,
Right.
so we ain't got to do that. But this is what manhood looks like, and even this is what boyhood looks like. This is a natural boy. This is an organic boy. This is a boy who ain't been sitting around watching TV and trying to emulate and imitate what he's seeing according to somebody else's narrative.
Right.
So that is the essence of what I know we can gain by having these types of experiences here, in addition to things like soft life, in addition to things like a life of flow and ease and being at one with nature. So I'm just really excited about this particular series. And I don't want to go over our time today because we will be back again to give
Mm-hmm.
you just a lot of juice, just a lot of good juice. We'll be back with the juice.
Back with the juice.
But yeah, so I'm back with the juice, juice is always good. I've never been in any situation or circumstance where somebody was like, I got that juice. And they was like, ew, juice. Why would you have that? Like, honey, baby, what? Juice is always, that's a win. She got
Yes.
that juice. Oh, that's a win, honey. That's a win. That's what we call a win. A win is a win. So, anything else before we close out today, sis?
No, I just want everyone to understand that the world is yours. You can absolutely have the world, the life that you want to live for yourself. That the moment you wake up and you realize that this is a matrix, that I have the power to change my circumstances. I have the power to change my life, and I can have what I want. You have to see
Oh, we gargling.
and there's
We
power in
gargling.
that.
We gargling. We gargling. Say it again, please. The Matrix tried to get you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Where we at?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Uh,
Continue to.
there we go. All right, you better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have to understand that we have the power to speak the life that we want into existence. You can live whatever lifestyle you want. You can have whatever it is that you want. What you're seeking is also seeking you. We just have to speak what we seek until we see what we say. The law of attraction is real. We didn't get into that, but it's a buzzword. It's a hashtag. You need to look it up because you're not trapped. The moment you decide that you don't want to be stuck, you're immediately unstuck. If we were made in the image and the likeness of the Most High, that means that we speak with the authority of the Most High, which means that you have the power to speak whatever you want into existence. Just understand that when we get somewhere, you have to understand the culture. You have to know the roads of the land that you're walking along. And I just encourage people to do their research, to talk to people who are boots on the ground, to actually respect other people's experiences and know that they're not here to lead you astray or to charge you $1 million. Like it's pay your tour guides, pay the people that are here to help you because they're going to make sure that you have the best experience possible and they're going to make sure that you're safe, which is important. So you can go in and check off another country off that bucket list.
Nice. That's what
That's
I'm
all I
talking
got
about.
for you.
Pay these people, honey. Because baby, y'all know I do my retreats as well, honey, and I'll be bringing groups to Senegal at a certain point, and Queen Shay gonna be right there with you. So she gonna have to get
Absolutely.
paid. All right, it's just time. It's just time. So thank you so much again today, Queen. We look forward to having you back on our podcast.
It was a
Um,
pleasure.
yeah, this abundant African goddess experience has just really been a ride. And I look forward to just talking to a lot of different sisters from the continent who are living here, boots on the ground, and helping to shed light on why this experience is so important and what our participants can expect when they jump on. So thank you so much.
Mhm. Thank you, Jess. We'll talk soon.
All right. Pieces.
Thanks. I love you.
Oh, I love you too.